Sekiro, considered to be the black sheep of the FromSoft family, strays away from the well-loved Soulsborne formula quite a bit. And if you had to boil down the archetype of Dark Souls games, they would be rooted in Western fantasy world settings, a slow pacing, and spacing in combat, and the management of flasks to heal yourself. But Sekiro decides to go the complete opposite direction and do triple backflips and parry mid-air instead. Now I have to give credit where credit is due. The setting is feudal Japan, and it's quite intriguing that FromSoft would do its story in something that's more in line with traditional Japanese heritage, incorporating lordship, feudalism, and sacred bloodlines into the plot. It places us inside an actual character, completely scrapping the RPG character creations and going with becoming the man known as Wolf. Now as a boy, Wolf was abandoned in war-torn Japan. After a vicious battle, he was left to die. But Owl, a master shinobi, finds Wolf and gives him new purpose, a new reason for living. And this plays nicely with the theme of a wolf being a domesticated dog, a dog that serves his master. Now, as like all other Soulsborne games, FromSoft plays with the theme of immortality and why death is a good thing, but now with the drawback of something called dragon rot. Well, what's dragon rot, you ask? Well, it's a disease that spreads from too much of the dragon's blood in one place. When we begin the story, Wolf has already lost his purpose. His master Owl passed away, but is given a new purpose by a maiden who throws him a wooden plaque that tells him to find Lord Kuro. After we learn to traverse the environment in Ashina and how to sneak past guards, we reach Lord Kuro, who requests that we escort him from his villa. Now, upon doing so, we are stopped by Lord Genichiro, a shogun who knows the secret of the dragon blood and wants it for himself. Wolf unwittingly pledges his allegiance to a lord whose bloodline contains the blood of dragons, and this allows resurrection upon death. Prior to this blood was abused and caused the people around the family to rot away. Almost like in order to defeat death, others must suffer. Genichiro wants the dragon's blood from Lord Kuro so that he can fight his war without ever having to feel the pain of death. Once Genichiro attempts to impose his will upon Lord Kuro, Wolf steps in to try and stop him, and even in the event that Genichiro is bested in battle, Wolf will still lose his arm in the fight, and our master is kidnapped. But this is just the beginning of our adventure. We get rescued by a woodcarver who decides to make Wolf a prosthetic arm, one that can be modified to use ninjutsu tools in battle. After we practice our combat an undead soldier, we journey into Ashina to rescue our lord. I need to pause here because this is all a very captivating journey. I mean, really, truly, beautifully written. Great symbolism is present here into Eastern philosophy and history, but unfortunately that's accompanied by a combat system that requires you to react and take hits, and it uses a posture system. Now what does that mean? Well, it takes us back to the Dark Souls formula, where taking damage was discouraged completely, where you can beat a boss or a level without taking any damage whatsoever. But Sekiro intends on you facing combat head-on and managing your enemy's posture. And I thoroughly enjoyed it, but only with mods. Sekiro is the game that has made me realize that forcing the player to go back to a bonfire only slows growth and knowledge in adapting to fights. And I can see how this might be intentional to create higher stakes in fights and a longer anxiety. That is completely sideswiped by the slog that is running back from the bonfire past all the enemies every time. And what's interesting to me is that this isn't a mindset that I have in Souls games. I enjoy managing the healing system and trying not to get hit. But because Sekiro is so heavy on being in the fight and using tools to break posture, I die more in Sekiro than I do in any other Soulsborne game. And that's not to say that I'm necessarily bad at the game, but Sekiro is in fact the culprit of why Elden Ring's bosses are so damn frustrating to fight. You know, it's bloody absurd. Sekiro's enemies are some of the most insane wind-up attacks that lead into insta-kill AoEs that I've ever seen. And in Elden Ring, this is all the more prevalent. But Sekiro takes any boss in Elden Ring and makes it faster and requires you to try and adapt and learn the moveset. So to speak, and die. Now, Bloodborne is a bit different in this respect because the rally system encourages more aggressive play, but you still have blood vials when you want to space yourself from the enemy. Sekiro's healing system is far less functional than this, with critical attacks restoring your health. The more postures you break, and executing a visceral attack will recover health. Now, I could see this on part of the developers to encourage stealth and taking out enemies swiftly, like a ninja would. However, when you are faced with large enemies with absolute bonkers attacks that feel like they never end, it seems almost impossible to beat a boss first try. Or the first 20 times for that matter. After turning Death's off and Dragon Rod off, I found that the game was miles more fun. It actually got me into the story, and I kept playing. And this game would, yes, in fact, filter me as a player from playing it if I wasn't using cheats. I also modded the game to include Taki from Soul Calibur because she's hot as hell, and I'd rather look at her ass cheeks than Wolf's all day. I also took the Ogre and turned it into Shrek, and then I made the giant snake Thomas the Tank Engine, which was way more terrifying than I could have ever imagined. Changing the music to Metal Gear Revengeance music to make more fights more impactful during boss encounters. I also sped up my character about 150% so my kills are much quicker and I can hold down the parry when attacks are coming my way. Now, this isn't an auto win, however. I still have to manage my stamina, spacing, parrying, posture, and my deaths. And to be clear, my no death mode is actually just about 10 to 15 deaths, and still, they don't feel like enough, to be completely honest with you. Falling off cliffs still kill me, getting afflicted by terror still kills me. I still have to play the game, but I have just completely circumvented the need to rest up at the bonfire and run all the way back to where I was before. I get more out of my game. And anyone that tells me to go get good can go choke on a bag of dicks. I got good, and it wasn't through learning through failure. It was through perseverance in the fight. I mean, hell, I would sometimes lose motivation even with cheats when a boss would just ragdoll me effortlessly, demoralizing me until I got into the tempo and learned to play. It forced me to engage with the boss instead of shoving me back to the bonfire and expecting me to return to try again. And maybe that does make me bad at the game. Who knows? Whatever interpretation the Sekiro-born community has of what I'm doing, I'm fine with that. Because Sekiro is a great game, but demands so much from the player in such a short amount of time, and failure is not tolerated. I take great solace in this because I have a safety net in failure, and I learn from my mistakes in the moment, and given the chance to try again in the here and now. And I have beaten every game, all the way from Demon Souls, all the way to Elden Ring, and I can confidently say that this is the way to play Sekiro. I'm sorry, Miyazaki, I can look cool and have your fantasy anime fight you want me to have, but I'm going to do it my way, not yours. Ask yourself, do you ever have the urge to start Sekiro start to finish? Do you see yourself going back and going through the pain of dying over and over and over and over and over and over again? I have to be realistic about this sort of thing because I don't have 12 hours to be stuck on Ashina Castle fighting the shoguns back and forth, dying. I want to play. I want to play the fucking game, and I don't give a rat's ass if you suffered, and that means I have to suffer. What is this? Suffering socialism? I mean, this is just ridiculous that we have to kowtow to these fuckers. But what's incredibly ironic here is that theme of suffering being spread amongst everyone because somebody takes more than they should is also the mindset of Soulsborne players. And yes, there are incredibly skilled players out there like Let Me Solo Her that can beat Millennia first try. But you have to ask yourself, was his first try really his first try? How many deaths, how many times resting at the side of Grace going back to the boss fog did he have to go through in order to reach that level of skill? What if he didn't have to die? What if he could just keep playing and learn until he beat her That would save you so much time, realistically. Let's just be real here. And it's for this reason that I wholeheartedly embrace using cheats with Sekiro. And that's the last thing I'm going to say about it. I think video games should be played to have fun and not by the standards set by somebody else that claims to be more skilled than you or the next person. Just like, wow, thanks for gatekeeping me from having fun in my video games. Like, come on now, I just want to play and have fun. Don't let anybody else tell you how to play your game. Play your game and have it make you happy. That is what is important. Once you embrace this concept, you'll find greater enlightenment in the way that you play, and you will enjoy your pastime of playing video games. Go mod Elden Ring and have spirit summons wherever you want. Do seamless co-op and explore the world. Just have fun and enjoy it.